We get brought in on a number of issues where a family member has left something in their will to a grandchild or a niece or a nephew, and that individual has special needs. Now, unknowingly, the individual is trying to leave something to make the disabled individual's life better, but instead of making provisions in their will where that inheritance goes into a special needs trust for that disabled beneficiary, it goes directly to that beneficiary. And in those circumstances, that inheritance can kick that individual off of their benefits. So we get brought in, one, to establish a special needs trust for that individual. And in most circumstances, after we get done showing them how much work has to be done at that point, that individual has their own estate plan redone where we can put in their will that instead of the person's inheritance going to them directly and then having to set up a special needs trust, that you can put language in your own will that upon your passing, whatever share or inheritance you wanted to leave to the disabled individual automatically goes into a special needs trust for their benefit. Then you're not having to hire another attorney at the end. You're not going to have to rush because you're worried about an individual losing their benefits. And the biggest difference as well is once an individual is going to get an inheritance straight out and we have to set up a special needs trust, that special needs trust has to have a Medicaid payback provision, meaning that when that individual passes away, whatever's in that trust initially has to go to pay back the state of Kentucky. If you put in your will that the inheritance goes into a special needs trust, not the individual, that special needs trust doesn't have to have that Medicaid payback provision in it. So if that individual passes away, you can say, I want it to go to my other child or this charity, instead of initially having to go to pay back the state of Kentucky.